Great. So, hello everyone. Today we are diving into the world of upgrades, an exciting journey. So, here we will explore how we tackled the Sylius upgrade, celebrate our biggest successes, and share the valuable insights we learned along the way. And let's start with a question. Who remembers the Sylius? Raise your hands, please. There are some people. Good. It's the latest version with 1.5 of this old UI. It's changed a bit. Before we jump into the main topic, let me give you a brief introduction to myself. I'm Andrejus, a senior software engineer at NFQ, and I have the privilege of leading a team of 3 talented developers. Currently, we are working on an e-commerce project that specializes on selling construction and household products. And a few facts about me. I'm a big fan of CrossFit. I'm in love with Boy Scout rule, which says always leave your code better than you found it. I'm with Sylius from 1.1 version, and my career started at NFQ 5 years ago. Moreover, it's my first presentation ever in conference today. So today we'll cover 5 main points. First one is architecture. We'll start by showing you how our setup is set up. Our shop is set up from a technical standpoint, so you can visualize its components. Next, we will move on to the mission. What was the main goal of the upgrade? How we tackled the upgrade, and what our developers thought about the process. Next, we'll talk about the plan, what preparations were necessary, what small steps we took, and in general, how we approach this upgrade. Next, we will see how was the ups and downs, and highlighting both difficulties and the victories of our upgrade. And lastly, a brief recap what my team has learned from this upgrade. So let's start by visualizing our components, and here is the diagram. In this diagram, you can see 2 main systems, Sylius and Akineo. Akineo is responsible for product management, and Sylius is our primary Azure platform. Both these systems communicate within RabbitMQ, and we also updated the versions of Akineo during this upgrade, but now we'll focus more on Sylius. In Akineo, we have Elasticsearch and MySQL for storing Akineo data, and Redis for managing RP data imports. And on the Sylius side, we have the same components, but for different reasons. MySQL is for storing Sylius data, and Elasticsearch for search and catalog services, and Redis for managing RP data imports, also, and caching. Right in the middle, you'll notice a CDN, where we store product images. And all this architecture follows common principles, and it's straightforward. The mission. Well, our primary goal was to upgrade from 1.7 version to the latest available at that time. We have 2 other important objectives that we set out to achieve. So we started by upgrading 1.7 version to the latest one, as I mentioned before. And this also forced us to update the PHP versions. So we managed to update the PHP from 7.4 to 8.2 at that time. And also became the requirement to update the Symfony. And Symfony brought the necessity to update from 4.4 to 6.3 at this time. And Symfony upgrade brought the necessity to upgrade our plugins. In our ecosystem, we have around 20 plugins. Around 15 for internal use. It's for shipping provider, payment providers, routing, and more, along 5 with 5 external ones for feed generation, blog, search, and etc. This was a big task that we had to do. Among these plugins, we have one which is responsible for sending data from Akineo PIM to Sylius. Before the refactoring, it was involved sending a serialized array from PIM to Sylius, and it wasn't type safe or efficient at all. And also, it relied on a low-level publish-subscribe mechanism from RabbitMQ. However, thanks to Symfony Messenger, we were able to elevate this plugin to a new level. Now we use proper DTOs, type properties, DLQ, retry mechanism, and all this thanks to this component. Also, this change required us to do a big changes on the Sylius side, because the way data was handled had changed a lot. And now we're using separate message handlers to prevent any job in one only message handler. Now let's shift our focus to the plan, because having a plan is crucial, and success isn't certain without it. So my team broke it down into 3 key stages. What should be done before the upgrade, during the upgrade, and after the upgrade. So before the upgrade, we should stop any upcoming feature development to prevent merge conflicts down the road. Also, we utilized our staging environment to test the upgrade path. Communication was key. We have to explain to the client the benefits of this upgrading and why it was a worthwhile investment at that time. Also, we provided a clear cost of the estimate, which came to a total of 340 hours to complete this upgrade. Also, we should compile a list of critical features, what should be tested after the upgrade to not miss any critical feature of business. During the upgrade, we should not refactor any existing code, even if there are opportunities for improvement to have less file changes. Also, we should refer to the Sylius repository, specifically changelog and upgrade markdown files, to not overlook any breaking changes. And we should also to contribute to plugins to support 1.12 version at this time, because not all the plugins were supported that we used. After the upgrade, we should release all at once. I mean, Akina and Sylius at the same time, because our data communication will change significantly. Also, we decided to release, to develop all the plugins in the same code base, because it was very hard that they are on the other repositories. So after the upgrade, we should release stable versions of it and move them back to repositories. Also, we prepared a list of critical business features. So after the upgrade, we should test if everything is fine, because not all the features were covered by test, unfortunately. So did it work? Well, yes, but actually no. Having a plan is great, but it's only actually effective if you actually stick to it. So let's dive into what's happening and what I'm referring to. First of all, it's client requests. I mentioned that you should do a code freeze, but the client came with a need that client need to refactor filter logic with improving our interface and experience, user interface and experience. So at first we thought that it wouldn't take any issues for us, and it wouldn't clash with the upgrade. However, there was a twist. During the merging into the upgrade branch the files, we faced a lot of merge conflicts. And during this conflict solving, we lost some features. So the lesson for you, don't agree with your client and don't do any new features. Then the refactoring problem. Also, as I mentioned before, you should not refactor any business critical features and leave your code as it is, if it's possible, from business side. In the introduction, I mentioned my love for Boy Scout rule. So if I found something, I should refactor it a little bit. And this worked in a negative way for me, because I split it into separate functions. I did some minor refactoring, thinking it wouldn't cause any issues. However, it caused some issues. So again, don't refactor anything and test it properly. And lastly, it's incomplete testing. We built a critical list features, and we should test this feature. 1 month before this upgrade, we successfully integrated one payment provider. It worked perfectly, and since it hadn't caused any issues, we completely forgot about it. But after the upgrade, the morning after the upgrade, this payment provider suddenly stopped working. There was an error in parsing data from the callback because Symfony serializer had changed. We haven't checked it beforehand because it required production credentials, and we don't want to test with production credentials. And after that, we identified that this payment provider works a little bit differently with production environment. So there's a lesson that take your list responsibly and test everything, even if it involves your production credentials. So next, let's move on of challenges and triumphs. What was here? Dependency management hell. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of plugins. Some business logic is moved to the plugins that other projects in my company can reuse it. So there was just time-consuming task to go through all the plugins and check what changes need to be done to make them work again. It wasn't very hard from a technical perspective, but it was time-consuming. And about the external plugins, there was really hard to get approved by external plugin owners because they were busy with other work too. I remember reaching Mikolai multiple times via Slack to get approved for shipping export plugin. My apologies to Mikolai, but it was a critical step for us. And the part that caught my attention the most is what I called our lost foster child. In the first section, I only showed you two main systems, Sylius and Akineo. But we have the third one, which I call Salesman, and it deals with orders in physical stores. Another team is in charge of salesmen, so our team don't deal with it at all. So what went wrong here, actually? As I mentioned before, we changed our data contracts, how a message is sent from Akineo, from product management system to Sylius, and we completely forgot that salesman exists, so as a result, DTO contract was broken. Whoops, shit happens sometimes. So our team, another team was getting ready to test this part of the system, so we had to fix it quickly. When I opened the code for this app, I found that we're using Symfony 4.3 and PHP 7.4, and I thought that we are in real trouble and couldn't use our new plugin of consumer and producer, but we managed to upgrade it successfully. However, there were some issues. During the testing phase, we identified that the system running much slower than before. It used to handle 30, 40 messages per second, and now it's doing only around 8. We had lots of ideas why this might be happening because of a new database proxy system, high availability configuration, or slow file system, or any other slow process running in the background. But after a week of investigation, we found the real issue. The monologue was set up wrong. We have around 20, 30 message handlers to handle one message, and after each message handler did his job, this information was logged. At this time, Sentry was configured. So all the data was sent via network, and this caused the real bottleneck because we can't reproduce it in staging environment, in local environment, because in those environments, Sentry was not configured. This upgrade also required us an additional 100 hours in addition. Now let's look on the positive aspects of this upgrade and see what our terms were. First one is estimate. Initially, we thought that it would take around 340 hours to complete the estimate, but we managed to get it done in just 290 hours. And a significant chunk of the time was dedicated to the salesman application, but in any case, my team and client are happy with it. And I want to express my gratitude to the Sylius team because, as I mentioned, in our plan was to follow the changelog and upgrade Markdown files. And I must say they were exceptionally informative. What I've encountered in the past, these resources were really valuable and made our journey smoother. Thank you, guys. And improve developer experience. Now I can say that we're using the latest PHP, Sylius, and Symfony. And my team don't have to work with legacy code anymore. We can completely focus on important clients' businesses, and we don't have to spend time solving the issues that were already solved by community members. And also we can promote that we're using the latest stack. And the deployment day. The big day arrived. It was time to see the results of our hard work during this past 2 months. And the client had a specific requirement that we need to go live before 8 a.m. where the shops were opening. So we started our last journey at 3 a.m. The most challenging part of this upgrade that there was no turning back, as we don't prepared a rollback because the database structures had changed significantly. And it would be really hard to prepare for it. However, we don't need a rollback, and we managed to get it deployed at 7 a.m. in the morning. I can't say it was completely free of issues, but we managed to get fixing all of the bugs by 10 a.m. And in this picture, you can see my team lead and project manager at 3 a.m. So let's do the recap and see what my team has done there. So first of all, you have to think all about the dependencies. So you just visualize all the components you have and think what components are dependent on you, as you saw in our case with our last foster child protocol. The second one is Sentry is your friend. We have integrated Sentry with Slack, and Sentry helped us to to overcome issues before the client even noticed. So it's great early warning system when you integrate it with instant messaging system. And third one is operations can be slow, as we saw in our case with incorrectly configured monologue and message handlers. So network operations can be slow and cause issues for you. And lastly, give attention to the small details. As we experienced with our refactoring problem and not incomplete testing, so don't lose anything and give attention to these details. That's it. QA time.
In the beginning, the first step to upgrade were to inform your customer about the benefits of all this upgrading. What are those benefits? What did you told your customer?
So the main benefits was that we'll spend less time on developing new features, because as I mentioned before, some of problems are already solved by community members. All new components from Symfony are coming, so we don't have to do, and this can just use the components from ecosystem. This was the first thing. Also in our company, we are upgrading more projects because of the scalability. We want to scale, and the client wants to scale it. So this was the second one. And the third one, I can't remember it this time, but maybe we talked about also the new developers, because if we will promote that we're using the latest stack, PHP 8.2, and we don't have a legacy code, so it would be easier to onboard new developers and invite to the company. Any more? So thank you, then. Reach me if you want, or any more upgrade tips. Thank you.